Sometimes the deepest wounds don't come from strangers. They come from the ones you trust the most. This is not just a story about money, power, or betrayal. It's a story about a father's love, a daughter's silence, and the devastating moment he realized she was never on his side. Based on real events, viewer discretion is advised. Richard Armah stood at the grand window of his study, the city of New York stretching beneath the twilight like a mosaic of ambition. At 56, he was the very definition of self-made. A real estate mogul with an empire built from nothing but grit, God, and sleepless nights. He had 3 homes, a fleet of black SUVs, a private jet, and more awards than he could fit on his office wall. But nothing filled him with more pride than his only daughter, Maya. Maya, 23 years old. She had just returned from London with a degree in business law and a fire in her spirit that reminded Richard of his late wife. She was intelligent, poised, and had an uncanny ability to read people. Richard saw her not just as his child, but as his legacy. When he named her as vice president of Armah Holdings, some whispered it was nepotism, but Maya proved them wrong. Within 6 months, she'd renegotiated contracts, cut dead weight, and tripled the returns on their latest coastal resort project. Life, it seemed, had rewarded Richard for his sacrifices. The stranger at the gate. It started with the man at the gate. An older security guard, Baco, who'd been with the family for 15 years, came to Richard one evening with trembling hands. "Sir, someone came here asking strange questions. About you. About Maya." He claimed to be a journalist, but he didn't seem like one. Richard dismissed it as paranoia. Wealth always attracted attention. But then came the emails. Anonymous tips about discrepancies in company financials. The auditor, a quiet woman named Taupe, found strange transfers, millions missing and untraceable. Maya insisted it was a glitch. "Daddy, it's probably old entries we haven't archived." "I'll handle it," she said, brushing his shoulder with affection. He trusted her. Why wouldn't he? A collapse. 3 months later, Richard was arrested. The FBI raided his home at dawn. Allegations: tax evasion, money laundering, and embezzlement to the tune of $1.8 billion. The media went wild. Billionaire real estate tycoon accused of massive fraud. Maya was crying when she visited him in the holding cell. "Daddy, I swear I don't know how this happened. We'll fix this. I promise." He believed her. Until he saw the footage. The revelation. Richard's lawyer managed to obtain limited surveillance access from the company's server backups. There she was, Maya, on a Wednesday night past midnight, alone in the office. Plugging in an external drive. Moving funds. Shredding documents. Making phone calls to a blocked number. His breath left him. His heart cracked. He rewatched it. Times 100. There was no doubt. His own daughter had set him up. That night in the cold darkness of the cell, Richard replayed her last words to him. "I promise I'll fix this." But she wasn't fixing anything. She was erasing him. As he stared into the flickering ceiling light, one truth settled over him like ice. He had no idea who Maya truly was. Prison was not built for men like Richard Armah. The concrete walls and metallic silence of Kirikiri felt like a coffin. He had lost weight. The guards recognized his face from the news. Some treated him with quiet sympathy, others with silent judgment. Every day Richard thought about Maya. Was it greed? Was it hate? Was he ever truly a father to her? Or just a man she needed to step over? His lawyer, Barrister Chuka, brought worse news each week. "Sir, the case is airtight. The documents, transfers, all lead to you. And the only person who can exonerate you is Maya." But Maya had gone quiet. She'd resigned from the company, changed numbers, even sold her car. Then came the trial. The courtroom was cold. The nation watched. And Maya appeared, flawless in black, face unreadable. She took the stand. "I loved my father," she said, voice cracking. But somewhere along the way, he changed. He started moving money in secret. "I tried to warn him. But he wouldn't listen. Gasps filled the room. Richard stared at her, mouth agape. Turn. Barrister Chuka requested to cross-examine. But something felt off. He pulled out a photo. Miss Maya, do you recognize this man? A young man with dreadlocks and a smug grin. Maya's eyes twitched. That's a friend. The court shifted. The man was no friend. He was a known cyber fraud suspect under federal watch. And they had photos of him and Maya, dining, traveling, and in a hotel suite in Dubai. The judge narrowed his eyes. Chuka continued. We also have a video of your private meeting with him, right before the funds vanished. Would you care to explain that, Miss Maya? Maya's mask cracked. For the first time she looked scared. The judge paused the trial. Maya was ordered into custody for perjury and obstruction. As she was led out, she turned to Richard. I'm sorry, Daddy, but the damage was done. As the doors shut behind her, Richard whispered to himself. But why, Maya? Why? 2 weeks later, Maya requested a private meeting with her father in prison. The guards brought her in, wrists cuffed, eyes hollow. She looked like a shadow of the woman who once commanded boardrooms. I didn't want to hurt you, she whispered. Then why did you? Richard asked, voice cold. Maya looked away. It started with Jamal. He promised we'd build our own empire. He said you'd never see me as an equal. Just your obedient daughter. But it got out of control. She broke down. I didn't know he was using me. When I tried to pull out, he threatened to leak fake documents. He said he'd kill you. Richard stood silent. He wanted to hate her. But all he felt was sorrow, justice and redemption. The authorities opened a new investigation. Maya turned state witness. Jamal was caught trying to flee to Morocco and was extradited. The evidence cleared Richard. On a rainy Thursday morning, Richard walked free. But nothing was the same. Maya was sentenced to 3 years with parole. She wept in court. Richard spoke briefly. She was my daughter. I raised her with love. But sometimes love can blind you. Let this be a lesson. Trust must be earned, not assumed. 1 year later, Richard sat in a modest office in Ibadan. No skyscrapers. No jets. Just peace. Knock on the door. It was Maya, pale, trembling, holding a letter. Can I talk? He nodded. Not with joy, but with hope. Because sometimes, even in betrayal, love fights to survive. The end of the story. Moral of the story. Even those closest to us can betray our trust. But it's how we handle the pain that defines our strength. Never let love blind you to truth. And never be so powerful that you ignore your instincts. Forgiveness may be a gift, but justice must be earned. If you found this story powerful and emotional, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true, mysterious, and heart-wrenching stories. Thumbs up, like, speech balloon, comment your thoughts, and bell turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thank you for watching. See you in the next tale.